And we are live. Hi.
Okay. Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good,
So
good.
I am Emily,
And
um,
I'm Pim.
and that's Pim. And I wanted to talk to you, Pim, because I I think it's really important to recognize the things that I personally am good at, and to recognize the things that I'm not good at. And I have realized that I suck as a coach, totally suck as a coach when it comes to someone who has a food addiction.
Mm.
I thought that I knew what it was like to be carb addicted, sugar addicted, and I thought that carnivore was this magical, wonderful thing that took away my cravings at 4 weeks. And it did, but it doesn't for everyone. And so I wanted to talk to you about your experience with coaching people with food addictions.
Cool.
So,
Yes.
um, like for me personally, like I feel guilty that I don't understand what it's like. Um, and I genuinely don't. I don't understand what it's like to really have that pervasive thought of food. Um, how would you explain to me, somebody who just totally doesn't get it, um, what it's like to actually have a craving that is incessant?
Have you ever obsessed about anything?
Yes.
Yes. I think that's your answer. So that could be anything, whether that be an ex-boyfriend or, you know, that's usually where most people obsess about something. And we're totally obsessed with that thing or that person or whatever it is for a period of time, and then it goes away. And you can do the same thing with food, but it requires a conscious decision to actually go there and do that. And I can say that I have wanted to quit sugar for so many years, and I always say I want to quit sugar, I want to quit sugar, but actually I didn't really want it. My brain didn't really want it.
Mm,
And I think it is an obsession and it is an addiction, and if you want to, we can talk about how that actually works in the brain if
yeah.
you want to go there. You want to do that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So whenever you're doing something that is pleasurable in whatever form that might be, if it's connecting with other people, things like comfort, that is what has actually made us build houses and get more comfortable beds and making clothes and all those kind of things, because it's comfortable for us and it's something that makes us feel good. And the same thing with food. You can now eat meat or your little fat cubes and you're like, oh my god, that's bliss. And that is something that is really, really nice for you, and it just gives you that warm fuzzy feeling and you feel really
It
good and
does.
happy. Yeah. And that is just on steroids for people who are food addicted with whatever it is. Most of the time it's something, it's starch or sugar in some sort of form. What I've found is that women are often drawn to sugary things. Men can be, but very often you see men being drawn to starchy, savory things like chips and pizza, crisps, pies, pies, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. I don't get it. I want the sugar. I want the sweet taste myself. But there's always a component of something that breaks down to sugar very quickly and probably raises your insulin very, very quickly as well. And what it does is that it triggers the release of dopamine in your brain from several different um, regions in your brain, and they will basically light up your whole brain. So if you do a brain scan, you will see in people that are just looking at pictures or thinking about certain types of food that they're addicted to, it just blits up the whole brain. So this starts even before you taste the food because you know what is coming. And
Mm.
just thinking about eating something that you really like will make you feel happy. And it sounds ridiculous, but that's just how it is. So when you become addicted, so the first time you do this, it's kind of an adaptation. You are doing it automatically because that's how you have evolved. And it's because you want to survive and you want to seek out those foods that give you that comfort or the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it's supposed to work. But when you have something that is refined, like sugar or flour or something, you have just kind of already pre-digested it almost. So it's so strong, it's super concentrated when you're eating it. So you get a much more dopamine released in your brain, which will just overstimulate your dopamine receptors to say, oh my God, this is the shit. This is what I need to survive. And there's nothing in the world that is as good as this. So you will want to do it again. But the next time you're doing it, your brain was like, that was a little bit uncomfortable. I think I'm going to downregulate some receptors because the signal was just too strong. So the next time you're eating it, you're eating the same amount. You might get 90% of the response that you got the first time. So this is not enough. You're going to have to eat some more to get the same response to feel as good. And that's how get you get addicted to it, or what do you call it when you I'm losing my words. Whenever you are becoming addicted to something.
Obsess.
No, doesn't matter. That's how you develop dependence on it. That's what I want to say.
Dependent.
So
Okay.
that's what you do. I'm like, words.
That's right.
That's all right. So you're going to have to increase the dose over a period of time constantly, and eventually you can't really eat more because there's a limit to how much one single person can eat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you reach the state where you want to eat it, but you're not really enjoying it anymore. You're just eating it because you crave it, but it doesn't actually fill that empty spot. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you been there?
You know what? I have been
Yeah.
before
Mm.
carnivore, but
Yeah.
then now my happy place is steak. Like my
Yeah.
happy place is fat, and I get this visceral response. Like I get that response that you're talking about
Yeah.
with sugar, and I get that with a steak. And so that's why I feel so inadequate to help people who it doesn't work that way for them. And I don't know why it was so easy for me. I don't know why that as soon as I got what my body needed with the building blocks of steak, of animal meat and animal fat, I
Mm.
was happy. I was good. I was golden. And it's not that way for everybody. And I
No,
don't know why.
because you have gone back to the natural response that you want to have. You're just enjoying it because it's good food, but you're probably not obsessing about it. Because you told me earlier that sometimes you forget to eat your fat, and then it's like, oh my God. So you forget about it. There's no way a sugar addict would ever forget about sugar because it's on your mind 24/7, pretty much. And that is one of the big reasons I actually want to not think about it all the time, is because you don't get anything done. You just your brain is just focusing on the sugar all the time, and it's very, very disruptive. So
Yeah.
whenever you try to focus on something else, sugar is just there. Hello, where come and find me. You need some, and it's very annoying actually. So first of all, you get obviously dependent on it basically because you don't function without it. You need it now to actually feel like a normal person, because if you're not having it, you're feeling depressed.
Or deprived.
Yes, and that, and you
Yeah.
can still, always you will always do that probably to some degree. Sometimes I'm in a better place. Sometimes I feel like, why can't I just do this like a normal person and just eat it in normal amounts? It does not feel like life is fair, as if
Hmm.
life ever was.
Yeah.
So my brain is still doing that to me. But so you have downregulated your receptors. You now need an amount of sugar to stimulate the few receptors that you have left to just feel human again. So when you remove that sugar, you're going to have to go through a period of time where you feel like shit. And there's no way around that, because you need to remove it to let your receptors upregulate again, come back, so that you can start enjoying normal things, whether that be normal food, like just eating meat, take a walk on the beach, being out in the sun, whatever you like doing. Some people like drawing or, painting or whatever. Things that just think about something that you used to enjoy as a kid and think, could you enjoy it right now? If the answer is not without sugar, you might have a problem. I'm not saying that, I mean, your interest might change, but I hope you get the point anyway. So, so you have to go through that period of time, and then when you're on the other side, it's so much easier. But our brains are we still have neurological pathways that we have been practicing for many, many years. So I'm 43, and I can remember when I was maybe 6 or 7. My mom is a night owl, so she was sleeping in, and I was up climbing, looking in the cupboards because I knew where she hid the cookies, and I just like stole a couple every morning because she wouldn't notice if I just took 1 or 2. But I couldn't take too many because then she would notice and know that I actually knew where she hid the stash. So I can remember that from very early childhood. So it's always been with me. So where was I going to go with that? Yeah, I've been doing that for so many years.
But that was my childhood as well. I definitely remember that. We always had dessert after every meal. It wasn't a meal if we didn't have dessert, and it wasn't a meal if we didn't have bread with it, and a starch. And I was conditioned that way. And I thought that I was, addicted to that. And then I went through the transition of carnivore, and I got through the first 30 days, and then I didn't want sugar anymore. And that's just crazy to me. That's crazy to me that my whole life, and then I turn 40 years old, and then I go through carnivore, and then I like, even if you put it in front of me right now, I would be like, that's cute. I'm glad that you like that. I don't want it. I don't want it. And so then it's so hard, to relate with other people who really struggle with us.
So did you ever, I mean, you say you had dessert every day, but were you eating a lot of sugar or such things apart from that? Going to the shop just to get it? I mean, I've been known to bake chocolate cakes at 2 a.m. because I had such cravings and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, I used to make a batch of chocolate chip cookies because I made really, really good chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
And I would make a batch, and I would make 2 batches so that I could eat the entire batch of just the dough, and then I could bake an entire batch of cookies for the house.
Yeah, you can join the crazy club.
Yeah. Like I would eat, or I would love to roll it up in little balls and then put it in the freezer, and then I would just go throughout and I would just pop the frozen raw keto all throughout the day. I would eat an entire batch. By myself easily.
Okay.
But now I don't. Like, I just don't understand the why. Why did it just go away?
Maybe you had, I'm just guessing now because I actually don't know. So maybe it is, some people are prone to addictions of different kinds. And my guess is, I think my grandmother was sugar addicted because whenever she came to visit when I was a kid, we were always baking, and she was fat, and there weren't many fat people around at that time. So it might be in my genes to be predisposed to sugar addiction, particularly. I mean, they always say that like alcohol addiction always skips a generation and then it comes back in the next. So that would fit the bill for me and my grandmother. So it might be that you're not actually prone to sugar addiction and you can recover easily from that. I'm not saying that you weren't, but now when we talk about addiction, people that are actually treating addicts would probably say, no, there's no such thing. You need to fulfill all of these criteria. And you might not have fulfilled all of those criteria, but you were still a bit crazy what you were doing. Let's just face it, because to me, that is abnormal eating. It's not something that a person that has her diet under control would do.
Yeah.
Let's just face it. That's just the truth. I mean, I know people that go and they had enough and they're just like, I'm gonna throw this away, and then the next day they go and dig it up out of the trash and eat it. And that is crazy. To me,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I have never done that because I wouldn't even throw it away. I couldn't do that. So I haven't had to do that. But even so, I'm a bit like, I don't think I could do that unless it was a very clean bag. But, people are doing crazy stuff, and it's embarrassing to talk about it because who wants to tell? I mean, who would like to sit on YouTube and say, yeah, I was digging up the trash last night because I was,
Yeah.
I had such cravings that I had to eat that piece of bread that I threw away yesterday that I didn't want then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think ultimately, like when I think about the people that I coach,
Mm,
as they want to stop. I
mm,
mean, obviously they want to stop. Why are they calling me? Why are they talking to me about this? And it seems like they want to stop,
yeah.
but they're not able to. And ultimately, I want them to find healing no matter where that comes from. And so that's why I reached out to you, because I feel that operating in my center of brilliance is critical to me. It's very important to me that I operate in my truth. And if I can't help someone, then that means that that's just out of my scope. And
Mm.
so I don't care where the answer comes from. I want to help people find the answer. And so what do you do, or what do you offer to be able to help people who are addicted to sugar?
Well, first of all, it's really important that you have a why. And I think that your why is really, really strong.
Yeah.
There's no question about
And
why
loud.
you would want to do it. Exactly. So you're getting instantly punished if you would even think about it almost. Whereas for me, I've had many whys, but none has been strong enough. There's always been like, yeah, I would love that, but do I really want it? Yeah, but not today, tomorrow.
Mm,
Because my brain is like, no, I don't want to deal with that because that is painful. We have stopped eating sugar so many times before, and it's a pain, and it requires a lot of effort. So you want to take the willpower out of it pretty much, and you want to reprogram your brain to have a different response to your cravings. But it still requires you to put some effort in and be willing to go through those 2-3 weeks of hell when you are going through your withdrawal. So I would always recommend that you go on a low carb diet of some sort, whether that be a keto diet or a carnivore diet or whatever. Doesn't really matter to me. So that you cut most of the sugar add, so you get rid of the physiological cravings before you start dealing with the emotional cravings.
okay.
It makes it easier
That
because
makes
then
sense.
it's just them that you're dealing with then, rather than
Yeah.
having both of them at the same time, because that's painful. That's very no. It's hard to do. It's hard to do without having the sugar shakes and the low blood sugar and all of that going on. So if you can do that first, then you can just focus on what's actually going up there. And I never thought I was an emotional eater, because to me, people that were eating emotionally, they were a little bit crazy. They're just, oh, I'm upset, so I'm gonna go and eat a cake. No, I've never been like that. Or, oh, I'm so anxious, or people were mean. That's never been me. But I have always been going to the fridge to have a look what's in there, to find something to eat when I'm bored, or when I have something to do that I don't really want to deal with, so I procrastinate by looking for food.
Mm,
and when I'm restless, those kind of things. That's when I'm going to the fridge or looking for something or trying, the food thoughts are coming in and telling me to go and find something else to do, which always involves eating something sweet.
Hmm.
And those are emotions. They are emotions.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that as emotions, but I want to avoid the pain of doing the work or, finding out what I need to do or sitting with being bored. You know, is it so bad? But I'm one of those people that want something to do all the time. I can't just sit still and just look or think. That's not been me. I'm learning. I'm getting a lot better, and I am a lot better than I was when I was 20. But I'm still having that. Oh, I have a moment now. I don't know what to do. Oh, food.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that comes into my mind, and that is because I didn't have anything to do. That's uncomfortable. What am I going to do? Food. Yes, that's comfortable. So I go and do that. So I think we have so many people out there that actually are eating emotionally that don't think that they are because they don't see the connection like I didn't for many, many years. And I feel so
Yeah.
silly now. It's like, of course, it's an emotion, and that's what defines emotional eating. So it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, we need to kind of define what it is that is triggering, when are you actually having these cravings, and then how they feel in your body. And I find this really hard. Mostly for me, it's like I start salivating.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are really, really good at it. And that, I feel a bit in the stomach and then some tingling in my arms. And I was like, wow, really? I'm like fascinated by how good body awareness some people have. But also what's happening in your head, because there's always a thought preceding the craving. And that can be super simple. Like, I want to eat. That's going to trigger my cravings. Or I want something sweet. Well, let's see what's in the fridge. It doesn't have to be complicated, and usually it isn't. And we're looking for something super complicated, so we're like, nah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, but just let me know everything that is in your brain. No, I just thought that I wanted something. Yeah, that's the thought. So if you're aware of what's actually going on up there, and when you're having the craving, you're like, yeah, I did think that. Aha, okay, gotcha. And now we can start working with it. And just know that for some reason, I don't know why, it's probably biology as well. We think that when we have a craving, we need to act,
Hmm.
but we don't. Why would you?
Yeah.
But it feels like we need to act. But yeah, but I want it. Yeah, so what? And then we act. But instead of that, I want to kind of rebuild that brain circuit. So instead of eating the sugar, some people like to do something else, like take a walk around the block. Or there was one woman, I think she said she would have a shower and read a book. And I said, how many showers and books do you read every day? Because that can be a lot in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you go through it, for me, they go away very quickly. For some people, they have to sit with the cravings for a while. They're just there. But it's like I was a bit annoyed at my cravings at the beginning when I started doing this, because it was almost like they were here, they're floating around. And then I was like, you're there. And they just disappeared. I was like,
Yeah. I remember
damn, where is it?
you saying they didn't want to be seen.
No, they don't want to be
Yeah.
seen because they are nothing. They really are nothing. And I can't pin them down. And I'm like, okay, but now the craving's gone. So what's the problem? They might come back. But if you can do that, just I find that much easier. And it's for me, who, I like to be efficient with my time and do a lot of things. Maybe going for a walk around the block wouldn't work for me, but for, some other people that might work, or just do one push up or whatever it is. Do something else as a response to that craving, to just retrain your brain to doing something else when you have the craving. And that is usually 80%, 90% of the way. And then once we
Wow.
got there, yeah,
Wow. For real?
for real, absolutely. Once you're
That's
there,
awesome.
you know how to do it. Then you have to deal with unexpected triggers, uh, maybe going out, those sort of things, what are you going to do then? You still know how to handle the craving, but sometimes you might actually want to go and have some cake. And I always say that that's fine if that's what you want to do. In your case, I know that you can't because you're going to get punished.
Yeah.
But for some people, they don't want to give up sugar 100%. Maybe they want to have sugar 3 times a year. That's fine. And you can do that, but I have done that for over a year now, and what I can tell you is that it presents a lot more challenges than being sugar free, because every time you do it, you risk getting triggered again. And if someone who has been or is insulin resistant to any degree, that might just make that worse as well, and play around with your insulin and your blood sugar levels and
Yeah.
trigger the physiological cravings. I don't think I have that problem myself on the physiological level, but I definitely have problems with. I think I was talking about it in one of my videos that I was going to have ice cream, and I bought a tub of ice cream and just said, okay, so I like planning. So tomorrow, after dinner tomorrow, I will have this ice cream. And I should really have set a stop time as well. Like, you have 1 hour to eat as much ice cream as you want. And that's it. That's what I should have done. But
I could have
instead,
finished the whole thing in the day, back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah. I probably still almost could, just because it's there. But instead, I was like, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna have an early dinner, but oh, I can't eat this early. Yeah, I'll just taste it a little bit now. I'm gonna have it today anyway. And I just started, had a taste or two, and then I took a little bowl. Then I had early dinner, and I started eating ice cream. And I was eating ice cream for like 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
And then I went to bed, and then that day was over, and that was that. But that is just stretching the rules and reinforcing that overeating behavior. And we really don't want to do that. So you're always risking doing those kind of mistakes. And I see that in so many clients as well. It's like, I mean, I had a client. This sounds really silly, and I can't relate to this person, what her eating behavior, because she's like, yeah, I was cheating. I had a teaspoon of peanut butter. And I'm like, what? Is that a problem? I mean, we saw it as a problem because it's the behavior we are trying to deal with.
Yeah.
But in
And
terms
because
of,
it wasn't on the plan.
exactly. But I couldn't do a teaspoon. I would
Yeah,
do a
no.
bowl.
No. I used to have it by my bed. Because whenever I would wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and I would
Oh
come
god.
back to my bed, I would have to eat 2, sometimes 4, just giant spoonfuls of peanut butter
Oh my god, that must have been horrible. I
just so I
can't
could.
go to bed without brushing my teeth, so I just thought
Oh,
about having peanut
no,
butter in my mouth,
I was
sleeping.
disgusting. I was disgusting, yeah.
Oh my god. No, that's one thing. That's actually quite interesting. I've never really thought about that, but that's something that is programmed into me, that you brush your teeth and then you don't eat anything after that, and then you go
Mm,
sleep. So if
huh,
I brush my teeth and I eat something, I need to brush my teeth again. So that's kind of like almost a roadblock for eating something again
that's
after I brush my
good.
teeth. Yeah.
That's good.
And that's so programmed into my head that I just don't do it. So when you can get to a place where I just don't do it anymore, that's not me, that's not the person that I am, you're probably going to be fine. I'm not quite there yet, I'm going to admit. But right now, where I am is that I am aware of everything that is going on, and that is a relief. I have failed several times, but I'm mostly in control. And that is super cool because I never used to be in control. And that feels like such a big win. Now I'm
Yeah,
working on not wanting it anymore, and I still can't really believe that I will get there by the end of 2020, but we shall see. I'm working on it, so
yeah. And I have heard people talk about that they just kind of like black out and they
mm,
just they don't even remember really what they did, and then they just come to and they're like, oh my gosh, I ate an entire package of Oreos, or I ate
oh
all of
yeah,
the Valentine's Day candy or Halloween candy or whatever. um and they just kind of zone out, like they don't know what they're doing, they're not aware of what they're doing. And I like how you explain just kind of knowing what you're doing,
Yeah.
and that makes a big difference. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It kind of makes you take responsibility for what you're doing. So I think I told you
Mm.
this before, that every time I cheat now, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do it anyway. So I can never, ever say that, you know what, it just happened, because it didn't. I know what was happening. And I made that decision against my better knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much. Because I it's so important for people to know that they're not freaks of nature.
Oh, God, no.
That I'm the freak of nature. I mean, it is bizarre. It does not make sense that I literally went from the standard American diet to overnight eating 50% animal meat, 50% animal fat, and then within 30 days I had no cravings, like
A
none.
lot of people do that. It's not just you.
But I don't want them to feel like, oh well, I can't be Emily, or I can't do what Emily did, so
They can be Pim.
they could be Pim. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And so that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to, record this video, is because I I don't think it's all about one or the other. I would love for people to be able to, if because I'll tell you, I'm amazing with a lot of things. I'm amazing with a lot of
You
people,
are.
but I will be honest when I'm not. And I struggle with helping people with food addictions. And so I would love to be able to broaden my knowledge base and incorporate, you, so that I can have that resource to go, you know what? I think you need to talk to Pim, or let's talk to Pim together, you
Yeah.
know? So make sure, whenever we we put this up, that we have ways that people can contact both of us,
Yeah.
um, because you have an actual course, that you've developed, for cravings, correct?
Yes. So it's called 6 weeks to quit sugar, but you could actually use it to quit anything.
Wow.
So 6 weeks, 6 modules in each week, and I actually have a game in there as well. There are lots of exercises and things in there. So I'm gonna have you to go through it and see what you think, so
Yes.
that you have that resource with you, so that you hopefully don't feel as inadequate when you're being faced with us food addicts.
Yes. And I think that's one of the things that we talked about earlier too, was, I have all the compassion in the world.
Yeah.
And I come to my clients with nothing but, just my heart, and my heart breaking for them because they want to change
Mm,
and they can't. But compassion isn't enough. Compassion
yeah.
isn't enough to get them to that point of change. And so that's why I think it's really important to use the coupling of compassion and a plan, a plan.
Yeah. It's just a few tools that you actually need, and you need to be able to execute them, obviously. And once you got that, you have them with you for the rest of your life. So, as I'm saying, don't expect to never make a mistake again, because it will happen. So far, I haven't met anyone or coached anyone who hasn't occasionally done something that was not on plan. I mean, we're all human, this is going to happen. Maybe not when you're Emily, because you're going to fall so ill that you're going to not just think twice, you're going to think 10 times before you actually do it. But for most of us, we don't have that instant punishment, and you're going to die if you do this. But even clients that have done, oh yeah, I just overate a sugar-free sweet or something. It's not like it's a huge thing, but they know that they're reinforcing the bad behavior that they don't want to reinforce, and it wasn't part of the plan. But if you still compare that to what you would have done maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, how much better is it?
Yeah,
Because I
it's
would just have
progress.
done. yeah, I would just have gone all out. And now I'm actually, when I'm cheating, the cheat is so much smaller. So I wanted to kind of look at the whole picture and not just like, oh no, I failed and now life is over and I'm never going to make it and I will never ever be able to stop eating sugar.
Yeah.
Just, look at where how far you actually come. And that is usually quite a bit, because once you learn how to manage your cravings, you will be so far ahead, really. And it is that is the best bit. No, the best bit is probably actually when my clients have gone through those 2-3 weeks, usually, of misery, because
Yeah.
they just come to me and they're like, "Oh, I hate it. Everything is boring. I'm arguing with my wife or husband or whatever, and I'm not myself." And every week I'm like, "Oh shit! I hope they're over it," because then I'm starting to feel inadequate. It's like, "Oh my god! I hope that they don't lose faith in me. I know that they will get through it if they keep doing it."
Hmm.
But it's still that I almost feel anxious, like, oh, please let them have gone through it now, because you know you can just try to reassure them, oh, it will happen.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there, they feel like shit.
Uh-huh.
But when they're through and they come back, they are so full of life and they're so happy, and they're like, oh, this happened and that's happened, and I didn't even want to eat that ice cream, I didn't want to do that. And it's just like, wow, this is a whole new person. And that that's probably absolute best bit. The second
Yeah.
best bit is when they get it with, okay, the craving was there and it was fine. Because
Hmm.
often we want to resist the cravings, and it's that resistance that just makes it worse. But when we can allow it instead, that is where the freedom actually is. And that is, you will notice when that happens,
Yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
and one thing that I said, just because of the way that my brain works, I'm just a big science nerd, and so I like to look at things like a science experiment
Mm. Yeah,
and think about it. A scientist is observing and documenting. He's not judging or punishing.
yeah.
So a scientist is just looking at this client and saying, "Oh, she on Wednesday went and ate 3 Oreos and then continued and finished the entire package of Oreos." A, a scientist doesn't sit there and go, "She's a crazy piece of crap. What the heck is she doing? She's hopeless." A scientist just observes that this is
Yeah.
what the subject did. And then the scientist observes the next week, she ate 1 Oreo and stopped
Mm.
and did not continue to eat the rest of the package. So the scientist isn't like, "Yay, she's better." You
No,
you just you take away the judgment and the punishment then whenever you look at it from a scientist perspective.
I love
Um,
that.
and and that's the way my brain works. And so
Mm.
that's what helps me, is to take away the, you're not a bad person for eating, a whole package of Oreos. It's just a science experiment for you to go, "Oh, how did I feel after I ate that entire package of
Mm.
Oreos?" Um,
Yeah.
and
And
and to,
and why did it happen? It's not because you're a bad person, it's because of your biology.
exactly,
It has
exactly.
absolutely nothing to do with willpower whatsoever. And that's
I,
why I can believe 100% in my clients. I don't know if you saw, I had a video with an ex-client, Nadège from France, up, and she
I
was
didn't see that.
saying, no, okay, she was saying when she came in to the first session, she was really nervous and she wasn't sure that she was going to be able to do it. And she was just saying, and I just felt like Pim believed in me 100%, so maybe I can actually
Wow,
do it.
wow.
And I certainly do, because we are all, I mean, our biology is just the same. Our brains are, they're not wired the same way, but they function the same way.
Mm,
So it's just a matter of you knowing what to do to solve your problem. And that might not be exactly the same for every single person, but I do believe that every single person can sort it out with time, and if you want to do it. If you're
yeah,
not 100% sure that you want to do it, maybe wait, because it's no point trying to put yourself through it and fail again if you're not sure that you really want to go through that. because it's going
Yeah.
to require some work and it's going to be painful, and you need to dedicate at least a couple of months to get to a semi-stable place where you actually know what you're doing and that you're confident that you can pick it up again if you are dropping off, etc.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you
It
so
is awesome.
much. I
Oh,
feel
thank
so
you.
much more empowered that I can help people. And if anything, just knowing that I have you in my back pocket,
Of
that
course you
I
do.
can, refer people to you. I think we're gonna work really well together to help some people. That's
I
awesome.
think so. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
You're
Pim.
awesome.
You are.
No, you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Ending there.